Now, to the country's court, it's going to be a massive interest in this court case next week. It's the suspects in the Blue Light Highway assault case. Going to find out next Tuesday if they're going to be granted bail. Let me remind you very quickly where we are. 8 police officers linked to the deputy president, accused of beating up citizens on the N1. Well, let's get some insight into how this is going to be viewed within the crime-fighting sector. I'm joined by crime expert at BizzTracers, Calvin Rafadi, making time for me this morning. Hello, Calvin. Haven't spoken to you for some time. Good to have you back with us as well. What do you make of how this is being handled in court? Would you go as far as to weigh in how you think this is going to go?
Morning, Gareth, and morning to your viewers. Yeah, no, indeed, this is a very interesting matter with these 8 VIP guys. But the main question that everybody now is asking is, did the deputy president lie? Was he in the vehicle? Was he on that same VIP brigade? One can say, just to make heads means, every vehicle in that unit is got a role. Why I'm saying that, there's a vehicle that communicates with the helicopter, which is on standby. There's a vehicle that communicates with crime intelligence. Then there's another radio vehicle that communicates with the other vehicle. So as you have seen, most of these guys now, they wear earpiece. Now, the reason why they wear earpiece is because of they amongst themselves, they communicate. Now, they want to come to a point, as you have seen in court, that they were actually under threat, that this particular vehicle, the blue Polo, was actually threatening them. Now, the main question is, there is a video footage that it has been circulating, and they need to bring it as evidence to court. Now, one can say, the witness who took the video now is his life is threatened through SMSs. But what we can say is it's a very interesting case whereby now NPA, what they need to do, they need to subpoena Sandra, because if you can check and zoom on that particular video, there's a white pole on the left which is got a dome, or one can call it a CCTV camera, which communicates with every other cameras on the very same freeway, and they must obtain that legally, and perhaps use those CCTV cameras of Sandra to determine what really transpired even prior to this incident that took place.
What we're starting to get a sense of is how these blue light brigades operate, because up to now, and yes, there's been instances like this before, Calvin, but we're starting to get a better idea of how they operate and how they maneuver on the highways. I'm curious, in your opinion, should we, as a public, as a country, know exactly what these blue light brigades are doing, who is inside these cars? I don't mean just the primary, I don't mean just the deputy president, but who are these people that are getting these jobs? Because I would imagine you need to be highly scrutinized before you get a job like this to protect a president or deputy president, but also how to behave on the roads and within the public.
Yes, these are called the sub-CAT unit members. Now, the CAT unit stands for the counter-attack unit. Now, what really transpires is, even as ordinary citizens, we ought to know, according to the Regulation Act of National Traffic 176 and 185, that any vehicle that is got an emergency light and has a siren, one must give way. But now, this particular unit, they are highly trained, they drive so fast, and most of us as citizens, sometimes we tend not to give them way, or even to follow as they drive and try to catch up on the same speed. But we urge our citizens not to do that, and not to cut, or not to even not wanting to give them way. But these are CAT unit members. They are highly trained in terms of protecting whoever they are protecting in those particular vehicles.
I want to ask something, Calvin, sorry, but just before you move on, because you just made me think of something. This is a debate we were having a few weeks ago. You mentioned the words, the flashing lights and the emergency vehicles. I get a sense most South Africans are very happy, I'm sure all of us actually are, if we see an ambulance, or if we see a JMPD or a fire engine with their lights flashing, we will get out the way. But I'm not understanding, and give me what your thoughts on this. What is the emergency when you're transporting a deputy president? Surely the man is just going off to a meeting. What's the emergency? And I think that's why South Africans are getting upset. An ambulance is one thing, a fire truck is one thing, but these blue lights, there's no emergency there, or am I not understanding this at all?
Yeah, no. We understand why South Africans are angry because if you look at it, the politicians are failing us. But according to the Road Management Act and how we are trained also as drivers, we are told that any car that is flashing a blue light, one must give way. Now, you must check on the very same brigade. The only vehicles or motorbikes that move in the front is the motorbikes of the traffic officers, of which they clear the way for this particular VIP vehicles to go past. But one can say, besides that, we've seen most of in South Africa, people are getting robbed through the blue lights gangs. And then we've seen lawlessness whereby you get many vehicles that look alike the VIP vehicles with the off-white or little bit of a blue light vehicles on the road. Those are not regulated and those are illegal. And police need to start acting, pounding those vehicles because they are not authorized to drive like that. But what we are saying, Gerard, is once you see a blue light, just give way to these people, because how the diplomats or whoever the VIPs are in those cars, they work on a schedule. So their diary, they must move to the next meeting, to the other, and they are trained not to drive slow on the freeway, because also not to put the life or the jeopardy of the person that they are delivering into those or driving in those vehicles. So they drive at a very high speed, and that's how they are trained, unfortunately.
No, I hear you. I do hear you. But I mean, I would contend, as I say goodbye to you, and maybe we can have this debate again one day, is that everyone works on schedules. Everyone's got places to be. Everyone needs to get there as quickly as we can. I suppose the difference is we're not breaking the law while we're doing it, and we're not abusing blue light brigades. But Calvin Rafadi, I take your point. I'm sure we'll talk again. Crime expert at BizzTracers. Fantastic knowledge from Calvin, isn't it? How much he knows about this. Calvin Rafadi joining us this morning.